Hi my loves, how's it going? How you guys doing? Welcome back to another video. It's been such a long time since I last updated this project pan. I think the last video was back in September, and I think at that point I had repressed my bronzer again as well as my blush. So the palette I've been working on is the one from Jouer. It's the Champagne and Macaron palette. I bought this from Feel Unique, which is now Sephora in the UK, and I've had this for quite some time. Now, there's nothing wrong with the quality of the product except for one blush. It wasn't the best, but other than that, the rest of the actual products were really good. They had pigment to it, but this is more for like a light to medium sort of like skin tone. This palette is more specific for you. There was one blush in here, the matte blush was really drying, and the way I've kind of been focusing on this palette is mixing the two blushes together to basically use them up. So this is what the palette looks like now. I will try to like insert a picture later on what it looked like before, comparing it to what it looks like now. So that, as you can see, is the bronzer. I've made a good sort of progress on here. I don't have that long to go, and as always, this will be the first product to leave. I've made, it's also a pretty good bronzer shade for me. I don't really go for bronzer. The only reason I'm even using bronzers is because I've either like got them as like a free gift purchase, or like I've seen them on sale, I'm just like, oh my god, let me try that because people keep raving about it, or I've like got them in palettes like this and I'm just trying to use this up. I don't really bronze that often. I'm kind of just bronzing because I have the product. So I didn't use this palette today, I've used different products, but this is like what I'm kind of focusing on. This will definitely be the first product that leaves because there is literally like the smallest amount in here, but it's nice to see this slowly like disappearing. With the two blushes, the shades were Delight Me and Romance Me, and I think it was a shade Romance Me that was very like matte and drying, so I can never really use it on its own. And also the sort of like colour of the blush wasn't necessarily my favourite. Certain types of pinks I feel like do not suit me. Same thing with like peaches, like they just do not suit me and it looks really odd. And also where like I do use a lot of like colourful makeup, like my eyeshadow, eyeliner, stuff like this, it can be hard sometimes to use those particular tones unless I do like a very neutral look, and then I can kind of like put on any sort of blush and kind of like roll with it. So yeah, I did kind of get frustrated with the two blushes that were in here, but I did hit pan and I managed to repress them together. Since I have repressed them, it's obviously not as like tightly repressed as what you would normally get when you first buy a product. So I have managed to get a slight dip going. You can't really see it. So even if I am to tilt the palette, you're not really going to be able to pick up on it as much. But from like when it first like was repressed to what it is now, there is definitely some progress. I was so adamant on having this palette finished by the end of this year. We're literally at the end of 2024 and it's not happened. But I would say like I've used up definitely half of the palette, which I think is fantastic. This blush will give me a hard time, and let's see how much I can use in the next year. Because I've given this palette such a long break, and especially away from this sort of blush, I feel like I can definitely use more of this next year and maybe focus on it a little bit more as well, with also some of the products that I'm going to be panning next year specifically. I think this palette would go really well with that, so I'm really excited to kind of use those together. So yeah, so that's kind of like the blush. Don't really have much more else to say for that. The last thing is this highlighter. Initially when I started using this palette, I felt like this highlighter was just really like causing a lot of texture around here. It turns out it was actually a different issue, and it was more to do with the it was more to do with the layers of product I was using, and it wasn't working for me. So the primer was not working for me because a lot of the times that would mess up my foundation anyway, but I just can't remember what that primer was, as well as I believe the foundation that I had previously been using as well. So yeah, and the powder placement too. So I kind of like refigured all of that stuff out, and now whenever I do use this highlighter, it looks really good. It is a pretty glowy product, and yeah, I've managed to hit like a really good size pan in here, which I'm really happy about. I remember like I was getting so frustrated because I could not see any progress, and then when I hit pan, like I didn't hit like a small pan, it was like a big pan because I'd like worked the product away in a very like specific ways. It wasn't like a very like pointy way, it was kind of like all over. So when the pan hit, like it was just like a really big pan altogether. So that was really nice to see, and it's good to see that there has been progress made in this product anyway, and now I'm not freaking out as much that I've still got so much like left to go. So yeah, I'm not going to set any goals of like maybe me focusing in on a particular product in this palette, because like with me, makeup usage is like a bit all over the place. It's not guaranteed if I'm gonna have a month of like even like one day of makeup, because literally in October I think I had like maybe three or 4 days of makeup, and that was it. And there were times where I will not do makeup at all for like a very long time and just go like barefaced and just do whatever I need to do. So I don't really want to put any like usage goals on here or anything like that, because it just never seems to work for me. But I am excited to use this alongside my products that I've got on my Beauty A to Z project plan for next year, and I cannot wait to like upload that video because I'm so excited to start the project again. But I do feel like I'm at a good place with this palette, and I'm really happy to see the progress is. Also, the other issue I had was the other blush I decided to pan this year was the same colour as this blush here, and it was really difficult. So I was basically using like 3 of the same product, if that makes sense. It wasn't even like that much of a difference in tone. It was like so similar, it became really stupid, and it was like a really silly choice in terms of like panning. But that being said, that other blush is almost done. I've got like a really small amount left in there. I just need to repress it once, and I know once that happens, the rest of it is gonna like fly through, and I might even be done with that blush by the end of 2024, which will mean that this palette will be much more easier to use next year, and I'm really looking forward to that. So that is literally going to be it for like the update for this project. It took me such a long time to actually like update you guys. I hopefully have put down or like shown like the befores compared to the afters of this palette, because that's nice to see as well. Because I know like if from September to now, even though I might have only had like maybe 5 or 10 uses, there will still be like a noticeable difference within the palette. So hopefully I'll remember to do that. But that is it for my Pan That Face palette update. I am so ready to continue this palette and this project for next year as well. Literally cannot wait to see how this goes next year. Again, I'm not going to put any goals on myself, and I'm not going to be like, oh my god, I'm going to finish it by the end of summer or by this time or that time. It's just not going to work for me, because I'm never consistent whenever I say that out loud. So I hope you guys enjoy this update. I will hopefully come back to you in January with a really good, exciting update with this palette. And I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next week. Bye!